HBO's Winning Time is probably consistently my favorite show right now. Well, I should say my weekly show. You know what I mean? Not the best series or anything like that. It's just the one I'm enjoying week to week that's, held up well. And I kind of got to this point too with the way the series is. Like, how are they going to deal with the Sixers and what happens next? So if you remember the timeline, right? Magic gets drafted, they win the championship, they beat the Sixers. Then the next year, Magic gets hurt. They're overconfident, blah, blah, blah. Larry and the Celtics win. There's resentment, whatever. Then the Lakers bounce back and they beat the Sixers. That's what this episode's going to start with. But the Sixers respond. And man, was that a season. The 1983 Sixers, man. They get Moses Malone in a monster trade with Houston. Woo! And then we know that it's been teased that they're headed towards this 1984 showdown with the Celtics. So this episode had a lot to sort of kind of like work through. And I was curious on how they were going to start, and they kind of just jump right into they win the championship. This is their second in 3 years, on top of the world. They're full of themselves, blah, blah, blah. Lakers girls and all that. And then it just sort of kind of like plays out with what's going to happen in 83. And it's not going well in 83, right? So we talk about Malone. So watch this play here with Malone. And this is very realistic with how this went. Malone is much shorter than a lot of the other centers that he went up against. He's 6'10 compared to like Kareem's like 7'2. Many of them are bigger than him. But look at how physical Malone is. And it's done very well in that they portray this dunking right on Kareem. So and then of course they're not winning games. They're not playing well. This is Andrew Toney. This series goes very badly for the Lakers, right? Because they were the champs coming into this. They'd beaten the Sixers before, and here the Sixers come in with Moses Malone. And to be honest, they completely dominate a 4-game sweep and just destroy the Lakers. Like, it's just done. So it's sort of like this complete wind out of their sails thing that's captured here. And I have to be honest, this was actually very refreshing. I really enjoyed all this. And I'm not going to say that I knew a lot of this history. I've picked up pieces. I haven't read the books that this is inspired by or anything like that. And I got to be honest, as a kid, there's really only 3 teams at this point that really matter, right? It's the Lakers, the Celtics, and the Sixers. And the Sixers, I was fine. When you're a kid, you like more than one team. Like when you're a kid, you liked players. And I have to be honest, I was so inspired by all of the NBA even before this. Like, I grew up hearing about the ABA, the Indiana Patriot team of 76, players like George Gervin, Dr. J before he was with the Sixers back at, the ABA team of the Nets. So when you get Magic and Bird and Malone and Kareem, and now we're getting closer to when Worthy comes on the scene, and we know who comes in 85, right? So it's such a great era to be able to revisit and relive. The show is really, really a big deal if you are into this. So here we see Jerry just really immersing himself in all of this sort of thing. And then we cut to Larry and Red Auerbach, which Michael Chiklis is nailing this, by the way. And I'm really happy that they always they cut away to Larry, and they're not cutting away to Larry. Well, I guess they are kind of making him the villain. He's at least the antagonist. I'm not sure villain is the right term, because you're seeing him just work. Right? God, he looks like Larry Bird. A little bit more mullet though, but it's good. And then there's this pitch meeting about what to do. Kareem is not happy with his agent because they're not getting any deals. Nobody knows exactly what to do. And it's kind of all falling apart before you kind of get situation with Jerry. So his current wife is Honey, and she's not the highest class thing. She's coming home from being out all night. He's depressed because they lost a championship game. It's chaos. Magic is on the phone with Cookie, and they're trying to make moves. So the only way they can make a move is to move somebody. And it kind of comes down to this. And now this does play out. So Wilkes is just amazing. So the idea they would move Wilkes, which irony was, you could see them moving Wilkes because they'd gotten worthy, but here they move Norm Nixon to the Clippers, and that's how they end up getting Byron Scott. Now, if you don't know about Byron Scott, he becomes a mainstay of the Lakers for years. And they're just sort of like it's sort of like here's Norm with his wife. So you get a little side story here with Norm, and then Magic making his move to lock in Cookie, right? So this was a really cute little backstory. Enjoyed all this, and really we see a different side of Magic with all this. You actually see Magic enamored with Cookie, in love with Cookie, which I really like. I really am like cheering for Magic, even though I know the story. I'm cheering for Magic to leave the girls behind, not give in to your Achilles heel. But yeah. Then you have Norm. Norm's been traded. They have their going away thing, and he's like, I'm gonna get you guys. Pat doesn't know what to do. And then this is the divorce. Okay, so the divorce is kind of a weird thing because what had happened was a paperwork shuffle. Jerry never actually got divorced. Honey and him are not really. I guess he's been married twice, so it's kind of like this complex thing. I didn't fact check all this. Actually, it plays out for nice trauma because it just creates more chaos for Jerry to have to deal with. And then you have the Kareem fire. Now, this was really, really cool. I kind of remember reading about this like years later, not when it was happening, but the way they play this up, the way they because Kareem is like he's kind of done. He's done with the Lakers. He's like he's ready to go to New York, which is where some of his family is. Just go back there, play for the Knicks. The Knicks are going to want him there, or whatever. But he did not do well at all against Malone in those finals. So the Knicks are like, listen, we're good, right? We're good. We're not going to because he would. It's about the money, like kind of. Well, just they just think Kareem's done. He's old. He's beyond his prime. Anyway, so there's a house fire. Fortunately, his wife and kids are safe, right? But Kareem is like broken. He's devastated. Well, he shows up to the game, and this is the story. He shows up for the game, and this is not a room full of reporters, which is like your first impression. No, this is a room full of fans there giving him albums that he lost in the fire because he's a massive jazz fan. He has thousands of albums, and this little boy and he have this scene about this, jazz album. And then when you cut to the next scene, it's very touching and moving. Then you cut to the next scene. Look at him. He has a whole armful of albums as well as a couple books. Like the generosity of the fans is what transcends this scene. And he sort of explain it sort of clicks for him, which is really, really interesting because it's like we're playing for them. We're playing for that little boy that brought me an album. We're playing for those fans. And you just feel, I don't know, you want to feel so hopeful that this not only just happened, but also that this is the message of athletes. You do understand, like, guys, you are our entertainment, you're our escape. I understand you've got financial obligations and family, you got all sorts of the human side of it with the job part. But you have to understand what you are and what you represent in all of this. And when they forget that, I think that's why we end up with these disconnects because on social media and stuff, we stay too in tuned with the baggage and they don't stay behind the veil and the barrier of entertainer. And the show, whether or not this is exactly how they wanted to present it or not, really is capturing that. He really, really did a good job. So this becomes the motivating fire that they need to turn the corner. And it becomes like just a kick butt season the rest of the way. And then you have this greatly edited scene. Watch how they pass the ball and they'll cut between Celtics and Lakers games. So you have a cut between Celtics and Lakers, Lakers and Celtics, back and forth, back and forth. It's done very, very well. And I have to be honest, this was just so much fun reliving all of this. Good news and bad news. We got to cut away from some of that stuff. Jerry's getting served from Honey. And then, of course, they're discussing where they are on things. And Jerry's kind of like dropping some ultimatums and things like that, right? Because we're gonna face the Celtics, and it's like cutthroat. We're not here. I think this was game 6. We're not here to celebrate game 6. We're not here to celebrate getting to the finals. We're here to beat the Celtics, right? Look how great all of this is captured so well. So you end up watching, or at least it's sort of like squeezed in. And I wish there was just a little bit more basketball, not necessarily even just gameplay, just a little bit more of some of those shots, and then like locker room conversations or some of those kinds of things. But they were building and building towards that championship run, that 84 Celtics Lakers. It's a 7-game series, spoiler alert. So yeah, good. This was fun. It's called Beat LA, and it's good. It's a fun episode. I really enjoyed this. The only thing bad about this one was that there was not another episode. I had stopped. So I'm loving Winning Time. I'm a basketball boy. I grew up in this. This is my sweet spot era. Like that 77 to 9 when I started really paying attention and getting it, because I was 7 to 9. Yeah, that's me. And then through past the Bulls. Way past the Bulls, because we're into like when Shaq comes in. That's like 2003. No. I mean, sorry, that's in the 90s. Then it gets successful. So into almost like Kobe era before I sort of kind of like started fading out, and I kind of like started like watching it more from afar, not being immersed in it as much. So anyway, that's my take on it. If you guys are watching Winning Time, I'd love your thoughts and comments. I went to go watch the game 7, and someone on YouTube, shame on them, had it labeled wrong, and it was game 6. So I still have to go figure out how to watch game 7, because I want to watch it again myself. So anyway, you guys take care. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Right?